Hi friends, and welcome back to my crafty space, where I share my memory keeping projects and processes with all of you. If you're new here, then hello, my name is Crystal, and I'm so excited you are here. Make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can see all my future crafty videos, and all of the links and the products that I will mention in this video will be linked in the description below. So today I am jumping back into this traveler's notebook that I am making for my parents. So this is part 3, the last part of this series, and you'll notice the last 2 videos, so part 2 and then this part 3 did not have like an actual intro, because I filmed this whole thing thinking I would have it all as one video and then decided to break it up because otherwise it would have been like ridiculously long. So here we are in part 3 and I have already jumped in. So this page right here is a photograph that my parents took from like an overlook spot. They traveled to Saugatuck, which is on the west side of the state of Michigan, near Lake Michigan. Might even be on Lake Michigan now that I'm thinking about it. But regardless, this was a vacation that they took with some really close family friends of ours. This was not a trip that I attended. So you will notice as I am working on the pages that I will not be filling in the journaling spots. Those I am leaving blank so that my mom and my dad can fill those in according to the memories that they have from this vacation. So for this page, I really, really liked that photo. And I wanted to have it make a bigger statement even than the previous pages. Typically, when I'm working in traveler's notebooks, I will have one side of the notebook be a full page photo, and the other side will be a pattern paper, journaling cards, smaller photographs, ephemera, like that type of thing. So, for this one, I decided to print my photo a little bit larger even. So it is printed as a 6x8, I believe. It might even be 6.2, actually it might be 6.25 by 8.25 because the height of a traveler's notebook is 8.25. And then that would give me 2 inches on the other side. I'm pretty sure that's what I did. It might be 6 by 8.25. I'm not 100% sure. But when I was trimming this photo, I took the full photo and then I trimmed one section of it to be 4.25 so it would fit on a full page. And then the other little strip will be added to the other side. Then the map looking paper was a card from a digital kit. I believe it was in a Creative Bubble where that page came from. Yeah, I'm trying to think if that's where it came from. It is. And then all of these ephemera pieces that you see and the tags and the puffy stickers, those are all from the Out and About scrapbooking kit from Pink Fresh Studio. It was designed by Geraldine, who is in a Creative Bubble. That is her company. So she created these products, which is perfect because most of the papers and journaling cards I will be using are from her digital shop, which is in a Creative Bubble. So I wanted to add those tags, the blue and the green tag, to the side of the page. So I wanted the photo to be on there and then to have those tags stacked next to it. And then I wanted to create a vellum pocket for them to just slip into. So right now I'm cutting some vellum to see if I can figure out how to get a pocket on there with those journaling tags. That is the space that, my mom or my dad will be able to fill out with their journaling when they're going through this book later. So now I'm going to set the entire book aside and just work directly with the pages. That usually is easier for me. And then once I get the pages all done, then I will use score tape and I will tape them into the book itself. So at first I liked them down in the corner, the tags in the pocket down in that left hand corner. at the bottom. And then I thought, well, let me try putting it in the middle to see if I can make some sort of visual triangle. I had a couple different embellishments that I liked where the Rome die cut is placed, but I ended up going with Rome. I liked how it popped out against the green since it was orange. And I liked also how it took up a lot of that space down there. I added a puffy sticker to just kind of complete the look down there. And then I have the tag at the top, not tag, it's a flag at the top that says, "Love this view." I want to use some puffy hearts. I like to get my puffy heart stickers from Ellie's Studio. I actually just put in an order to get more because, as you can see, I just have a bunch of greens left. So I will use them. Oh my gosh, right there, I dropped that heart sticker and I think I had a heart attack myself. Like, I was like, oh no, I probably just got adhesive all over this photo, but it turned out just fine. So I'm going to leaf through these one more time just to make sure there's nothing else that I want to add. And then I'm going to figure out this pocket. Like, do I like it in the middle? And I ultimately decided that I don't like it in the middle. I liked it better down in the bottom. So I'm going to move it back to the bottom. I tried out a couple of puffy stickers in the middle of it to see if anything seemed right. But ultimately I chose to go with this little die cut piece instead. I like how it took up more of the space than the puffy stickers did. And then to add some dimension and to bring the orange over to the left side of the page, I will end up putting a geotag next to the die cut. So now that I have this spaced, yep, see, there it goes. Now that I have this spaced, what I will do is take the paper and the paper and the vellum piece over to my sewing machine, and I'm going to stitch that vellum onto the page, just leaving the top open so that I can slide the tags into it, so it will become an actual pocket. So there we go. I'm bringing it back and showing you there. It's all sewn around the 3 sides. I will trim off the pieces, and then that gives me a place to hold those tags. I really liked the way that it worked out. I liked the layers and having something that's a little bit more interactive on this page. I thought it turned out really nice. So now I'm going to adhere down that portion of this picture. You can see that I just left the card, the map paper at that 4.25 by 8.25 size, and just figured I would tape the photograph right on top of it. So now I am placing down all of the extra embellishments, and I believe that that completes that spread. So now I will add the score tape to the back. I really like to use Scrapbook.com's double-sided adhesive tape. I have 2 sizes. I like to keep 2 sizes on hand, the 1/4 of an inch and the 1/8 of an inch. I think I might be out of my 1/4, so this is all just 1/8 of an inch score tape. And then I'm going to pull over my pages where this will go and go ahead and get those 2 photographs taped in there. You'll notice that I am not working with a book that is all put together. So I create a lot of my traveler's notebooks myself. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And when I do this, I will not put the entire book together until the very end. I find it is so much easier to just tape the pages in like this, and then later to staple or sew. I actually prefer to sew, but you can staple too, them together. It helps your book, like when it's together, it helps it stay together so it doesn't fall apart as you're working on it. Yeah, so I also, because I do that, I leave a tiny itty bitty little space at the spine of the fold, so that when I sew them together, that area right there is not crazy bulky, and it'll just go together much easier. Okay, so we're on to the next page. So that again, the background paper that's kind of like, it's kind of like a map. It's kind of like, I don't know, it reminds me of like a rail system in a city. That's just what it makes me think of. But that paper is also from In a Creative Bubble. And then I've got a picture on the right-hand side of the ferry. And I'm going to take the other photographs. There's 2 photographs and a journaling card, and I'm going to make that into a flip. So if you watched the first part of this series, then you will have already seen me make the flip before. Basically, what I'm going to do is take a piece of cardstock, and I'm going to cut it at 2 inches wide by, or I guess 2 inches tall by 3 inches wide. And then I will score it in the middle. So it'll be an inch on each side, and I will tape my pictures and my journaling cards to that. This is actually a technique that I learned from my friend Tashi. She's Precisely Tashi here on YouTube and on Instagram. Before I learned that, I used to use washi tape, but this just seems so much sturdier. I like it. So here I am scoring it in half. This is an EK Tools scoreboard. You can also see that it's just a piece of scrap paper. Like, I use some of my leftover cardstock to just practice stamping or to prime my stamps. And so when I turn it over later to tape down to the other side, you'll see that there is some stamping on that page. Now, I wish I would have, I don't know, I wish I would have gotten a space where the stamp wasn't like right at the fold, because you can see just a little bit of it if you're looking for it. You honestly can't really see very much of it, but I can because I put it together. So I know it's there. So I guess note to self, maybe try to score it on a in a space where there's not stamping and stuff going on. So then I'm going to pull out this stamp. This is Clear and Cloudy from Feed Your Craft. It was designed by Brandy Kincaid. And it's got a lot of sentiments on it that are very like water-based. So there's waves, there's a sun, there's a stamp that I will add onto my larger photo that just says Making Waves. What does that one say that I just put on there? I can't read it. I don't know what that one says. Well, we'll figure it out later. Anyway, I don't have my spread right here in front of me, so I just have what's on my screen. Anyway, so I use some of those stamps. I use the Scrapbook.com premium dye ink. They're black premium dye ink, and it is my favorite black ink. I love it for stamping on photos and also on paper, and it's a very saturated, bold ink, and it's super good. So that's what I used. Then I'm going to add some little puffy bits here and there and call that little photo done. That was just a photograph of a lighthouse over the water. And then on the back side, I'm going to add my other photo. And then here's where you can see, like, I guess maybe you can't see it. Maybe you can, where it's folded and you can just kind of sort of see the stamping there at the top, but whatever. It wasn't worth taking it all apart and redoing it, so it just stays. Now, this bin that I just pulled out is full of sticker sheets of tabs. Those are from Illustrated Faith. I actually need to look and see if I can still find them. I'm thinking maybe Dayspring still carries them, but I'm not sure. If I can find them, I will link them down below. But when I do flip ups like this, I like to add tabs, some kind of tab, so that we know that there's something more to look at. Now, I mean, when it's in the book, it will pop up a little bit, so you probably will know that there's something there. But after years of sitting in a closed book, it might not pop up anymore. So having the tabs there just is a reminder to flip it up and look at what's underneath. So I pulled out some tiny phrase stickers to add to that tab. I just like to have them labeled in some way. And then I think next I am going to stamp the Making Waves sentiment on the picture of the fairy. Now the ink that I'm using there is Brilliance Moonlight White ink. I like it as a white ink. It's a little bit iridescent. I mean, when you think about the moon's a little bit iridescent, so it's moonlight white. But you can always see it really nicely on the dark photos. So I like using that ink on my dark photos. Then I added a puffy sticker right above it in that orange color, which is a color that has carried through this whole book, actually. And then I'm going to add my photo flip up right there. So when you flip it up, there it is. There's a spot for journaling. And then I'm going to layer these two little embellishments here. I loved the embellishments, the what are those called? The die cuts. I loved the die cuts from the Out and About collection. It's one of the things that most drew me to it. And I'll add a puffy sticker. I also like to do things in threes. But some of my favorites were the ones that were a large letter, like the E. There's another one that's W for Wander and D for Discover. Those were some of my absolute favorite ones. So I was glad to be able to get one of them used on here. I was trying almost with every page to try and get one of those on there because I love them. Okay, so let's tape these pages down. These are the last ones that have photos on them. So I've got one more page to do. It's just a wrap-up page. I don't actually put anything on the inside covers, so on the inside front cover or the inside back cover. I like to leave those blank, especially since I'm using a scrapbook paper that is printed on both sides. So that way you can see the paper that's on the back side of the cover, which for this one is like a grid pattern with yellow at the bottom. It's pretty. It goes very nicely. So on the last page, what I am going to do is I have altered a journaling card. I know this journaling card is no longer available, but I'm sure there are other ones like it. So I found this journaling card from In a Creative Bubble that said highlights, and I believe it said like 1, 2, 3 maybe. So I took that card and I made it into a into a Traveler's Notebook sized paper. And I'm just going to add a puffy sticker to it just to give it something, and then I'm going to tape it in there. So I generally like to end my Traveler's Notebooks, my travel albums, with a highlights page. Just a way of journaling like some last thoughts on the trip as a whole. And so it's a pretty simple last page, but it'll be a good space for recording some of those memories for the end. So we're going to trim that off, and then that will complete all of the spreads. So then the last thing that I have to do is to put this book together. So this is I think I'm going to flip through it real quick just so you can see all the pages maybe. Oh, you know what? I realized that I didn't need this to be so tall. So when I created this cover, I like to create my cover a little bit larger than the pages, because as you can see, when the pages are all together, it gets a little chunkier. So my recommendation is, if you're making your Traveler's Notebook a standard size, which is 8.25 tall by 4.25 wide. So if you're going to make the whole page, it's 8.5 by 8.25. So if you're making it that size, my recommendation for your cover is to make it 8.25 high by 9 inches wide. That'll just give you a little bit of wiggle room to make sure your cover makes it over all the pages. So this is my workaround for putting together these books. So I have tried stapling before, by the way, and always my staples tear out. So I have just decided to sew all of my books together. It keeps them together. It's much sturdier. I feel more secure with it. But to sew my pages, sorry, there's my head. To sew my pages, I need to create holes in the spine, and they need to be measured correctly for each of the pages. So what I have here is a scoring board, again, the same one, and a push pin. And all I'm doing is lining up these pages, the edges, to that scoreboard, and I am poking my thumbtack through every ½ inch. And I start at the bottom and go to the top. So I think the top is like maybe 1/4 of an inch from the top, but that's okay. Then I do that for each page individually. That way I know everything is spaced the same. Then I am taking some white embroidery floss. I'm going to use all 6 strands and thread it onto my needle, and I'm going to sew this book together. So I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to count the holes to find the middle. I forget how many. So I don't think it really matters. But anyway, so then I'm going to sew it through each of the pages, the middle of each of the pages, just like that. Then once I have it sewn through the middle, I'm going to go, I don't even know what the stitch is called. Is it just a running stitch? I think it's just a running stitch where I'm going to go all the way up to the top. And then when I come back down, it will fill in the opposite sides. I don't know if I'm making any sense. I'll probably make a tutorial video specifically on this, because I know there are a lot of questions on how to put together a book like this. I know there are also tools like a bookbinding tool and other things out there that could probably make this process much easier, but you know what? This works for me, and I'm cool with that. So when I am sewing up the side, so the first time I go up the side, I do have to like leaf through the pages to make sure I am getting my needle through the hole and through the correct hole for each of the pages. But then when you come back down, it's much easier. You don't really have to like leaf through them to look. So you can kind of see me doing that right here, where I am just separating them and looking for the hole to put my needle through, just like that. I think I'm going to skip it. Yep. So now I'm coming back down the side, and it's much easier to come back down because your thread and your needle and your thread has already gone through the hole. So it's like opened up a little bit more. It's easier. And then I'm going to go down the opposite side. So just keep on going all the way down to the bottom. When I am sewing the bottom part, again, I have to like leaf through it just like I did for the top, just to make sure I'm getting all the right holes. Yep, so here we go. This kind of shows you what I'm talking about there. And then I will skip over it again and show you how I finish this thing up. Okay, so now we're coming back down, and I was really worried, you guys, that I didn't cut enough thread. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to have to undo this and redo the entire thing. But luckily I had just enough. It worked out. It worked out pretty perfectly. To measure my thread, all I did I made sure that the string was like 2 times the size of the height of the book. So then once I get my thread back to the middle, I'm just going to tie it in a knot in the middle as tight as I can. And then I'll trim off the extra pieces. I don't trim them all the way to the knot because I don't want that coming out, but so I leave like little tiny tails in there. And then that's it. So then my book is done, and it looks really nice. It's bulky, and that's fine with me. Oh, right here, I knew I had those tags in there that I wanted to add some twine to. So I pulled out my roll of twine. I got that from Target, from their craft section, and it's really awesome. Like, you get so much twine on there, and it's really inexpensive. So after I get the twine on those tags, I will stick them into their pockets, and then I'm going to cut a little bit of extra twine to tie the book closed later and just package it pretty. Then we'll flip through the pages so you guys can see how this book came together and also how it compares to the pages that I planned on the computer back from the first video in this series. They came out pretty close, I think. And then that will do it for this video. Thank you guys for coming out and watching this video, hanging out while I put this together. I hope you feel inspired to give a Traveler's Notebook a try or to try making your own Traveler's Notebook. Until next time, I hope you guys have a wonderful day, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye!